Good morning, Cross Timbers. Today is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2013. This is Texan TV News from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas, and I'm Katy Tonkin. In today's headlines, Tarleton State University hosts National FFA Officer Training Workshop. A Somervell County constable is forced to resign. People look for help finding health insurance. Colorado man pleads guilty to kidnap and murder. Venezuela will not have cordial relations with the U.S. Tampa Bay Rays earn their postseason berth, and today's weather. In campus news, Tarleton's College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences and Tarleton's Collegiate FFA concluded a two-day training workshop yesterday aimed at preparing national FFA officer candidates for their selection process. There were 28 candidates from all over the nation, as far as Alaska and Puerto Rico, attended and are just competing for just 6 FFA positions. The workshop provided for an opportunity for the candidates to fine-tune their interview, presentation, and organizational skills, as well as their interpersonal communication techniques. Approximately 100 Tarleton students and faculty, including Dr. David Frazier, Tarleton's Collegiate FFA advisor, helped with the workshop from driving to and from DFW International Airport to critiquing speeches and presentations. Stephenville High School students served as an audience during a session designed to improve the candidates' ability to enable group discussions and activities. Dr. Frazier once was a national FFA officer candidate and served as New Mexico FFA Association president in 1986. Since then, he has provided advice and direction to other national officer contenders, helping to improve their skills before the difficult interview and selection processes. Just last year, Frazier helped train 21 candidates, 3 of which were elected to national office. In local news from the Glen Rose Reporter, a letter of resignation from Craig Dodson, elected to serve as Somervell County Constable Precinct 2 in November 2012, was accepted by county officials Friday, September 27th. His resignation became effective immediately. Read by Judge Mike Ford, the letter from Dodson informed the court that he was unsuccessful in having his peace officer license reinstated. Dodson was unable to obtain the necessary hours of training needed to keep his peace officer license up to date. The Texas Commission on Law Enforcement requires all commissioned peace officers to continue their education by undergoing 80 hours of added training within 2 years of taking office and at least 24 hours of training every 2 years. Dodson brought to the office more than 6 years of previous law enforcement experience, including service with the Somervell and Hood County Sheriff's Offices and in the Prosecutor's Office in the 355th Judicial District. Dodson's departure leaves a single constable, Carol Wolf, in Precinct 1 to carry out the office's duties across the county. Those duties include serving as a judicial officer over justice of the peace courts, executing warrants, seizing property, and serving civil papers, and Ford said the workload is on the rise. County constables have the same jurisdiction and arrest and enforcement power of city police, county deputies, and state police officers. Ford said county officials have not yet determined how or when the vacancy will be filled. He said the office could be left open until the next general election, or the court could temporarily appoint someone to serve until that time. Now for state, national, international, and sports news from the Associated Press. In state news, at a United Way call center in Austin, the phones were ringing at 3 times the normal pace yesterday. The majority of the calls were from people looking for help finding health insurance on the first day it became available under the Federal Affordable Care Act. The center normally takes about 150 calls a day, but more than 180 had called by 11 a.m., said Jessica Venson, the center's director. The United Way is among several nonprofit organizations, along with hospitals and clinics, advertising the program in Texas. The center in Austin was referring to callers, depending on their location and needs, to healthcare navigators spread out across the state. At Parkland Hospital in Dallas, 36 navigators were helping people register, but were hindered by a federal website slowed by the volume of new consumers. Parkland turned to paper applications to speed the process. More than 6 million Texas residents don't have health insurance, and the rate among working-age adults is 1 in 3. Conservative Republicans, though, reject the notion that government should play a role in health care. On Monday, John Buckner, executive director of the Coastal Bend Council of Governments, said his organization is reliant on state dollars. Given the strong disapproval for the law among state leaders, Buckner said his group, which serves 12 coastal Texas counties, decided it was unwise to participate. In national news, a Colorado man pleads guilty to kidnapping and killing a 10-year-old Jessica Whitway nearly a year ago. Austin Sigg, the accused killer, could be sent to prison for the rest of his life. Sigg faces a minimum sentence of 40 years in prison with possible parole afterward. Sigg is not facing the death penalty because he was 17 at the time of the killing. On October 23rd, Sigg's mother, Mindy Sigg, called 911 saying that her son wanted to confess. Detective Luis Lopez said that Sigg's DNA was found on Jessica's clothing. Her remains were hidden and discovered in the crawl space of Sigg's mother's house. In international news, the president of Venezuela said that Venezuela will not have cordial relations with the U.S. as long as U.S. diplomats continue to attempt to destabilize the country. The U.S. has rejected all the allegations of conspiring to disrupt Venezuela's economy and power system. State Department spokeswoman Jen Psaki said that Venezuela's government declared that Kelly Keterling, the embassy's political officer and the consular non grata, has 48 hours to leave Venezuela. Psaki said the allegations were related to the embassy workers' travel to Bolivar. Psaki said they were doing normal diplomatic work. Keterling said that she would leave Venezuela before the 48-hour deadline. The Venezuela president said that once Obama rectifies the situation, then will Venezuela establish new connections of contact. In sports news, the Tampa Bay Rays earned their postseason berth in the final game of the regular season for the second time in 3 years. Monday night, the Rays defeated the Texas Rangers in the AL wildcard tiebreaker. The Rangers knocked the Rays out of the playoffs the past 2 years. Tampa Bay won 8 out of 10 games to get into the first wildcard tiebreaker in the Major League since 2007. Texas had to win 7 in a row to force an extra game. However, the Rangers came up short in Game 8. Their season ended in the 163rd game for the second year in a row, but this time not making the playoffs. Now the Rays faced another must-win tonight against Cleveland in the AL wildcard game to come face-to-face with Boston in the division series. This will be Tampa's third game in 3 cities in a 4-day stretch. According to the Weather Channel, it will be partly cloudy with a high of 89 and a low of 69, with a 10% chance of rain. This has been a production of the Texan TV News, a product of the Texan News Service from the Tarleton State University campus in Stephenville, Texas. You can follow the Texan News Service on Facebook and Twitter, and check out our website at www.texannews.net. Follow your latest local, state, national, and international news, as well as your entertainment and sports news. Today's broadcast was produced by Sarah Hurd and Brett Howman. I am Katy Tonkin. Have a wonderful day, Tarleton, Texas.